Hi there. So I've just finished a recording, and I thought I would just share some of the ideas that came to me while I was recording. Um, Now I'm talking from the point of view of somebody who's improvising all the time. I have an idea, but I improvise. But I think that's very much misunderstood. People think of improvising as just being, going with the flow and going where you're going, which is, in a sense, it's true. But for me, improvising is about developing your ideas, and I think it's important to develop your ideas. Now, I'm in what's called the ambient mode, the ambient genre, but I don't think it's for musicians to be sitting there thinking about what genre they're in. It's not really our job. We can leave that up to, you know, people that write about music, critics, things like that. We we just do what we do, and it may be that my music is not technically speaking ambient. I don't know if Brian Eno would consider it to be ambient. For me, it feels a lot more like a meditation, but even not even that, because in a way, I want to tell a story. I want to tell a story about my ideas. So I'm going to use my 7-string just because it's here, and but I might have an idea that's just like this. It's so it's diagonal from the second fret, second, third, fourth, and I was doing like a little pattern. I'm going the E string, the G string, the B string, and just so you know, the guitar's in standard tuning, and it's just got this low B on the 7-string. So I'm thinking of that as a B minor. So I'm putting the B in the bass. Now, one thing I might do is just alter the bass, because I know those notes are not, they're going to work with an E in the bass as well. So, and it changes the mood of them quite a lot. So I'm going to put the B in the bass again. And then it occurs to me that actually it's kind of like a B6. And you don't have to be thinking it's kind of like a B6. It's just, that's the way I think, because I'm a bit of a nerd about these things. So I'm going to put a D in the bass. Now, unfortunately, that's going to require moving my fingers. So I'm going to try and do that as quietly as I can. And it could be a G major 7 as well, so I'll put a G in the bass. So without doing very much, I've kept the actual theme the same. I've just changed the accompaniment. So it started off as B minor. And then I've put an E in the bass, and here it comes. A little bit more tension in that E. It feels like it can't stay here, so let's put the G in the bass, and I really love that because it sounds so kind of inspired and bright and hopeful. And now I'm going to put the D in the bass, and finally I'm going to take it home back to B minor. Actually sounds different now because it's been through that little journey. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to tell a little story about that piece, and it's a bit like there's this very simple little theme but I'm telling a story. I'm taking it through adventures. This is how it feels like when it's in the rain. This is how it feels when it's in the sun. This is how it feels in the morning. This is how it feels in the evening. So we're telling a story about this little theme. Now, what about if I try and change the theme a little bit? So I'm going to play the B in the bass. So I'm putting a little pull off now to an open E, so adding an extra note. Now, what's it doing to the rhythm? Because the rhythm before was 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So it's put a little offbeat there. One and two and one and two and one and two. So I've put a little skip into the rhythm, and I'm going to just start to try and develop the picking pattern. Now, you've got to keep this da 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 feel, or I feel at the moment that this is what I'm trying to do, is keep this feel. So if I'm doing little pull-offs, I can play less picking, you know. Now I'm doing no picking at all. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Yeah. So I'm going to mix that up now. Mistake. Now can I add other bass notes without my head exploding? Aha, yeah. Now, that's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit tricky because I've got two things going on now. I'm sort of alternating with the lead melody. I've already worked out which bass notes are going to work, but now I'm alternating them with the melody, and I'm improvising. So you don't have to be improvising. This applies equally if you're composing. And it's only through having, I've done a lot of improvising and a lot of composing, so now I can improvise with these ideas mostly. But you may not be ready to do that. You may be able to compose with them, but you can still compose with them. They don't change. Improvisation is really composing on the spot and taking your ideas on a journey, and sometimes the ideas turn into something completely different. And occasionally I'll just stop and something else will come. And then later the previous idea might come back, and it's usually changed. And if it's not changed, it might sound different because of what you've heard in between. So there's this sense of time moving forward. Okay, so I've got this idea. Let's go back to this. And then it's two versions of the same sort of idea. Now what else can I do with it? Well, another thing that I like to do is take the actual piece into a different harmonic context. So I'm going to just take the actual shape. And this is a great thing about the guitar. You can actually take the shape to somewhere I can picture is going to work. So it comes up here. Now the pull-off is now going to an open string, and it was going to an open string before, but before it was going from the F sharp to the E. Now it's going from the B to the E. So we've introduced this big jump, so it's not exactly the same. I mean, I could have done it exactly the same. Which is like just adding a capo, just modulating the whole thing, but it's much more interesting to me to take it up here. And you can hear it's the same phrase, but harmonically it's sounding different, partly because the pull-off is different and partly because it relates differently to the bass notes that I'm putting in. Now I'd love to put a G in there, in the bass, but I don't have the... how could I do that? I guess I could do it like this. Is that G? Yeah. No, I didn't think of this while I was playing. And there's the E in the bass, which is... And now the E in the bass, and now the B in the bass. And I can't get the D because it's right down there. But anyway, so I've taken this idea somewhere further, and then I might try and take it. For me, it's beginning to sound a bit Steve Reich-y, a bit minimal, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Steve Reich is a great hero of mine. So now I'm going to add an F sharp to the E minor, because I just love that. There's the idea of adding the second note of a minor scale to the chord, so you're adding an F sharp to an E minor scale. Now this didn't happen in the piece. Well, not that I remember, it might have done. I'll listen to it in a minute and see, but it could have done. So, to sum up, develop your ideas. Don't just let your fingers go for them, do the walking, but follow the thread of the music. Take your ideas on a little journey, put them in different contexts, try changing them, change the way that you're playing them, change where you're playing them harmonically, change the harmonics that they appear in, and I say the way you're playing them, and I'm pulling off instead of doing. So what did I start off? I mean, you could, I don't know. Oh, you could. See, that's not far off. But I'm playing it in a completely different way, because instead of... So I'm playing the notes in a different place on the guitar, and I can play them again, and it allows me to find some different notes. Now you can hear it's the same idea, but it's beginning to sound completely different, and I always love to do the harmonics in the bass there. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of how you can go about making this kind of music. Great, so I'll see you next time.